Hello, this is Super Saiyan 7 Cinders, and I'm picking up this video to piggyback off of an Ask FM question I just answered. The question was, if you could pick one superhero, who would you be? And I gave the answer, uh, explained a little bit of how I get to where my choice is what it is. And of course, I started off, I'm just going to straight up not think too much about it. Easy answer, Superman. I mean, he's OP. He's got all sorts of abilities. He's the man of steel. He's the man to be. But I don't really like that answer. I mean, no, I wouldn't have any problem if I could step up and be Superman. But it just something about making the quick decision like that just doesn't feel right. And of course, my final answer isn't Superman. And you have to look at what superhero abilities do you really want. And it comes down more to that than the superhero itself. Is what abilities do you really want? What lifestyle do you really want? Um, you know, different. Of course, that's part of the answer. Is what abilities do you want? Who do you want to be? What life experiences do you really want to go through? Do you really want to suffer all the stuff Wolverine had to go through to become Wolverine? I mean, yeah, his regenerative abilities are great, and one of the main abilities I would want, is some level of regeneration ability. Now, especially the more extreme Wolverine abilities on that, I'll make him practically immortal. I don't know if I want that. Um, the Doctor, he's got a really long lifespan, and he does regenerate, but his regeneration is nowhere near as perfect as Wolverine's. I mean, if you were to cut off the Doctor's head, he would not. I don't think he'd regenerate. You can, as he's beginning to regenerate, kill him again to stop the regeneration. That works. There's a few other things there. I mean, once he's regenerated, you could damage his body, and that damage would be. I mean, he'd heal like a normal person. So if you cut off his arm, like the 10th Doctor, he's just regenerated the 10th Doctor. He's actually still kind of undergoing the regeneration process to some extent, and he gets his right hand cut off. If it had been a few months later and he wasn't still regenerating, he would have been without a right hand, or left hand, whichever hand it was. But because he was still undergoing the regeneration process, he was able to regrow that hand still. But under normal circumstances, he'd have been left without that hand. And that's kind of what I want. I want limb regeneration. I want quickened healing, that type of thing. But I don't want immortality. I don't want to live forever. I don't think. I mean, yeah, it sounds kind of cool to be able to especially for someone who'd be afraid of death, to be able to live forever like that would sound really good. Um, that's not quite what I want. I mean, a longer lifespan, that'd be great. Give me 150 years life or something, and be not for your age over the hill, or over the hill, over eight. I mean, old, but not like a human having lived 110, 120 years, barely able to do anything. Uh, to be past your prime at 150 but still able to move on your own and do things on your own and whatever. Listen, to have a longer life period, a longer period of prime time life, like the Saiyans, like Superman. Uh, I imagine the Flash lives for. I don't know if the Flash lives forever, but he certainly has depending on which Flash, that certainly has an extended life. Now I know there is a Flash related character that using his super speed actually ages him. Uh, Major downside. Don't want to pull that off. That doesn't work right. Um, but I want regeneration, and I want to fly. I don't know about most of you, but one of my biggest recurring dreams is the ability to fly. I mean, I can't always. My flying is weird. Uh, in most of those dreams, but I can fly. Um, and I've always wanted to do that. So that eliminates a lot of superheroes who can't fly. Now, I debated the fact that super speed can do a lot of things that would almost make up for the flight, um, or even someone like Spider-Man who swings from building to building. I mean, that's almost flight, but it's not really. So, Spider-Man, Flash, they kind of held in a little bit. I mean, Flash surpasses most of my superheroes for choice because he's got the regeneration ability. He's got some other cool abilities that, especially the Barry Allen version of Flash, um, make him a really cool character. And basically, I would almost say my final options came down to probably the Doctor, Flash, Superman, Martian Manhunter, Goku, or Piccolo. It basically came down to those. Now, of course, Goku's got the flight. He's got the extended life. Does not have the regeneration abilities. Superman doesn't have regeneration, but he's practically invulnerable, so that's close. Maybe in some ways better, some ways maybe not. Um, Martian Manhunter, he's got his phasing ability, which kind of does similar things. Uh, and so he made it for that reason. His phasing ability kind of counterbalances that thought, that train of being. And I'm not sure. He may actually have some regenerative abilities. I'm not 100% certain on that one. I think he does, though. I mean, not to the level of Wolverine or something, but he has some. I think he has some regenerative trait abilities. I'm pretty sure Miss Martian did, which means if she did, he does. Um, so he makes it. When it came down to it, trying to figure out who I really wanted most, the next trait came to be what kind of lifestyle do these superheroes live? Um, Flash is busy. Uh, Martian Manhunter, busy. Both of them are involved in law enforcement as a day job, as well as they're super, or at least for a while they were, Uh, and I guess off and on still are, depending on the version, the story. I mean, the Justice League stuff kind of makes it like none of them have real jobs anymore. Whether the daily comics, daily stories, they've got to do their jobs. And the Flash is the Flash, but he's also a police officer or a forensic scientist. But I mean, he's a forensic scientist or he's the police chief or whatever, depending on the time version. Uh, Martian Manhunter's a detective. Clark Kent, modernized Clark Kent's journalism to a blogger. Or, I mean, even if you keep him a journalist, he's busy, but he's off on these stories that let him do that help let him do his job as Superman sometimes. But they're all super busy all the time. And the Doctor, he jumps from one adventure to another to another to another, almost with no break in between at all. He occasionally gets a nice little jaunt here and there, a little bit of a slower day. Uh, some of his historical adventures are kind of interesting. They're not as heavily fight or flight quite the same way. They kind of stumble into that a little bit. Well, they're not quite as bad as facing the Daleks or the Cybermen or whatever. And then you've got Goku and you've got Piccolo. Goku gets forced to try and take a job for a while, and does take a job for a while. But of course, he tries to take one where he can still do some training while he's working. Slower paced job. Of course, then beginning of Super, we see Hercule gives him a big load of cash for being the savior of the universe, um, and thank him for that. And he doesn't have to work again. But Piccolo's the ultimate winner there. He doesn't work. He doesn't need a house. He doesn't need food. He hangs out in deserts and waterfalls and forests and whatever and trains and uh, yeah. And all he needs to survive on is water. As long as he can get water, he's good. If he had to, you could always bum someone for enough cash for water. Uh, but there's plenty of places I'm sure he can fly to, get his water, and be set for free. That way, talk about freeing up your worries in your life, right? So Piccolo can be a superhero against pretty much 90% of the villains that we see throughout all these things. I mean, Batman's villains, the Flash's villains, at least half of Superman's villains. I mean, you've got some of them like Darkseid and stuff that might be too strong for Piccolo. But I mean, most of those villains, Piccolo can handle. Your everyday criminal, Piccolo could handle. uh, and should he somehow get hurt, like his arm gets blown off in an explosion of some kind, Kanan shoots it off. He's got regenerative abilities. He's good. And if he's really on the verge of dying, although Z kind of forgot about this ability, remember, Piccolo could spit out an egg to be a new him, such that he could shoot it out enough distance away that it should be safe to hatch and become a kid to start growing, and so on, like Piccolo Jr. is as the offspring of King Piccolo, Demon King Piccolo, Piccolo Daimao. So my winner is Piccolo. Now, having said that, ultimately what I would love to do is get a hold of a pair of Potara earrings, infuse Piccolo with Martian Manhunter. Give Piccolo Martian Manhunter psychic abilities and phasing abilities, uh, and then combine and fuse their strength together and keep Piccolo's ability to continue to grow, continue to get stronger. The magic abilities the magic powers he already has, still have to only live on water. You tell me you don't have it made then, and that you couldn't face almost any being almost at all, even Dark Side or pretty much anyone short of Beerus, and even Beerus, you'd be able to put up a little bit more of a fight as long as you can keep up with his movements, which you just might have enough speed and strength to do in that form of fusion, at that level of fusion, to keep up a bit. Still call myself Piccolo, I guess, probably if I did that. Maybe. Maybe come up with some other name, but we'll see. I don't know. We'd see. But that's the ultimate fusion. That's my ultimate character. Ultimate superhero. But short of the fusion, we've got Piccolo. Piccolo's the man as a superhero. So thank you for watching and listening to my response on this question. Like I said, it was not for me. It was not a simple answer, and the short little answer I gave on Ask FM just really didn't seem to feel complete enough, and I didn't feel I could do it complete enough on Ask FM. Even if I had done a video, I mean, do I really want to put an 18-minute video on Ask FM? No, I'll put that up here on YouTube. So this has been Super Saiyan 7 Cinders. This has been a discussion on who I would be as a superhero. And yes, I know, I mean, Goku really did come up second. As a Saiyan, it did come up second. But in the end, the lifestyle of Piccolo is even better. Hope you'll like my video. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel. And we'll be back shortly with another video.